Welcome to the German Climate Pavilion at COP28 in Dubai. Ambitious, just together.
Bringing together female experts in the global energy transition is our mission and our passion. Women Energize Women is a campaign and conference that connects, informs and inspires women and feminized people in the renewable energy sector. Everyone needs to be included equally at all levels of the energy system to ensure a swift, sustainable and inclusive energy transition. We organise panel discussions, conduct networking events and cooperate with women's energy networks. Join us and be a part of Women Energize Women.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen tonight. It's our great pleasure, after a wonderful breakfast meeting with industry, we are finishing up now with an evening reception, Women Energize Women. But actually, the question is, are we ready? Do we have the technologies we need for the pledge tripling renewable energies? And I think we discussed today, the good news is that more than 120 countries, and I think many of you are here today, have already signed the tripling renewable energy target, which is great. So we hope that this will really make it also in the cover decision of this COP. We started Women Energize Women around 3 years ago. It's part of our International Energy and Climate Partnership campaign in all our 50 partnering countries. We are doing it with the GIZ, the German Technical Organization, and also our other implementing partners. I see here the DENA, which is really wonderful, Christina Haverkamp. We have a wonderful programs, for example, in the Ukrainian women, but also beyond. We have also Guidehouse, which is our partner here in the Gulf states, which are doing great work here in the region. We have Adelphi, which is also part of the collaboration. We have the United States, Canada, and other countries here. So this is a cross-cutting subject which we are doing. And tonight we want to discuss two questions. First question is technology. Are the technologies ready we need? What kind of innovation we need? And how can we include all? And what can we do specifically in the question of women? As we see in the energy sector, there are far too little women on that. I also want to have a special thanks to GWNet. Natalia is sitting here, who is actually providing us the catering afterwards as well. GWNet is also an implementing partner of us, does a wonderful mentoring program. So we had this year more than 120 mentees in the program, and we are very, very happy you are here. You are our partner in all this experience. With that, I would like to give the welcoming notes. Stefan Wenzel, our Parliamentary State Secretary from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action, will start with his welcoming words. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Welcome in our German pavilion at this evening in the middle of the COP. Thank you for gathering here together today to discuss the urgent topic, all in one, all in for 1.5 degree. Accelerating technologies and gender equality in renewable energy. It is an honor to advocate for a cause which is key for what that carries the weight of our global nation's future. And as a supporter and male ally of the Women Energize Women campaign of the BMWK, I'm proud to welcome you today to this special side event. Joining forces to work towards a gender equitable energy transition is a necessity. The urgency of climate change, it cannot be ignored. Germany has set ambitious goals. We want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 55% until 2030. But we cannot achieve this without accelerating the development of renewable energy sources. We are in a critical time. We have to have big steps now in the 20s of this century, because nobody wants to see what happens when we reach the tipping points. And we don't know exactly when we reach these tipping points. And at some points, maybe we realize it later, with the great ice shields, for example, on the poles. And so we must do everything not to reach these tipping points. In Germany, we have, for example, the goal until 2030. We want to have 80% of renewables in the grid. That's a lot, but we have other countries who are ahead. For example, Kenya has nearly 100%. So sometimes we think we are front runners. In some fields, yes. In some fields, we can learn a lot from other countries too. So fighting climate change is collaboration, is communication, is working together. We discuss a lot about technology and finance and governance, but I always say 50% of the effort is communication, and 50% is finance, is technology, is governance. So what do you do with this campaign, Women Energize Women? It's mostly a communication agenda. It's making people strong to work on their place, to find their place, to have efforts on equality in our society, so that everybody gets his place and everybody has a chance to use his creativity, his power, his empowerment. And so this is a really interesting campaign. And we in Germany, we want to reach this 80% in the grid. But first, we're fighting for efficiency. Efficiency first. That's from the International Energy Agency. And in Germany, we say we can save up to 50% of the primary energy we use today. 50%. We have not to pay for, we have not to import, we have not to produce. And that sounds very much. But we have technologies who could do much more. If we have an electric vehicle and not a combustion car, we save about 75% of the primary energy. If we have a heating pump and not an oil heating, an old oil heating system, we also save 75% of the primary energy. And we will realize that the demand for gas and oil is going down. 107 countries of the earth have already reached peak and are now behind peak, and the demand is going down. And others, and in other countries, it's going steeper and steeper down. For example, in Norway, 15% less every year. So you can count how many chances the fossil industry will have. And if they want to invest more in the future, I think they risk stranded assets. And so I hope that the banks will stop financing such stranded assets. If you go to a bank today in Europe, the bank will ask you, what's with your company? What's with your emissions of your company? What's with your scope 1 and your scope 2? Scope 1 is the emissions your production emit at the place where the fabric is. Scope 2 is the emissions of the products you buy, electricity, water, other spare parts and stuff like that. And scope 3 is the emission of your product in the lifetime. And for example, the gas and oil industry has a very bad scope 3. So when they made a pledge 5 days ago, they talked only about scope 1 and scope 2. And that's only 10% of their emissions. 90% is scope 3. So we have fight to bring scope 3 to zero, in line with the Paris Agreement. That's part of the Paris Agreement, to bring budgets, public budgets and private budgets in line with the Paris Agreement, in line with 1.5. That means that all companies who have a scope 3, a high scope 3, must think about it, otherwise they won't get further credits or they have to pay more interest rates. And so we have efficiency first. That's where we're starting. Second is everything, to electrify everything what we have. And then there are some sectors where we can't electrify. Steel making, parts of the chemical industry, backup power plants, shipping, maritime sector, aviation. And there we'll use hydrogen. So we're working with partners all over the world with our hydrogen strategy. And then there are 2 industries where all the 3 doesn't work: concrete and waste, burning waste, and there we think about using CCS, carbon capture and storage. But we also have to know, if you have no carbon price system, there's no business case for CCS. So we hear a lot about CCS in these days from countries without carbon price systems. And that's only hot air, because they have no business case if they don't have a CO2 price. And so it's very interesting what will happen at this COP and where we're going to. And we see that a lot of countries working with us together, very strong. I've been in India a couple of months ago. I just saw a colleague here which has a wonderful project to energize 23,000 villages, to bring off-grid solutions with solar energy in the villages, to bring possibilities to use solar to light and read in the evening, or to have a fridge and cool something you want to cool, or to charge your handy, or to cook with induction, modern induction herd. So this is a wonderful example I saw in India. I also saw that they already make green steel, certified by a Norwegian company. So they come earlier on the European market with green steel than we do. So working together is a big chance for us all together. And to do that, we need all hands on board. So what you're doing with this campaign is so important. We want that everybody has the chance to work on this big, huge world project. This is a very simple fact, and I cannot stress it enough. Recruiting women allows for access to more talent, which is a reason to aim for gender equality in the renewable energy sector. Furthermore, more women in the field will make teams more diverse, and diversity is a cornerstone of innovation. Studies have shown that diverse teams bring a wider range of perspectives to the table and foster creativity and problem-solving skills. Also, companies with diverse leadership are generally better prepared to financial shocks, have improved profitability, and take increased action on environmental and climate issues. And that is why we launched Women Energize Women 2 years ago, a communication campaign and conference. And it is implemented on our behalf by the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit and the German Renewable Energy Federation in the scope of our global program, Climate and Energy Partnerships. Through conferences, panel discussions with only female speakers, workshops and creative formats, we bring together participants from all over the world who are actively engaged in the energy industry. The campaign has reached millions of people. It serves as a platform for women and their allies, empowering other young women to pursue a career in the renewable energy sector. So, to end my speech, overall it may be said, we are in a pivotal moment in human history. I think we have to work all together, give everybody the chance, all hands on board. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Stefan, for giving us such an inspirational speech here for the COP. I think this is just the core things we are debating here. And again, thank you very much, Katja Kamera here, representing the GIZ, to all this great work you have done over the last year. With that, I would like to invite Andrew Light, the Assistant Secretary of Energy for the International Affairs from the US Department of Energy, who is also a very dear colleague in one of our energy partnerships. And I think the German-US Climate and Energy Cooperation is really a wonderful example of what can be done. Please, Andrew, come here and give us your words. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much to the government of Germany for hosting us and all of the participants here. It's incredibly exciting. I'm incredibly humbled and honored to have the role of speaking at this moment in this what's going to be a terrific panel coming up. And I'll say more about why at the end. Here's the good news. For 14 consecutive years, the International Energy Agency, where I serve as a vice chair of the governing board, has seen an increase in women's representation in the energy sector. Here's the bad news. This still vastly is behind other sectors in terms of gender diversity. 14, this percentages are just not high enough yet. To reach our innovation, I think for deployment, economic security, energy goals, and a major shift in the energy workforce is absolutely needed, and that will require both public and private cooperation to get there. So, how low is the figure? Currently, about 26% of the energy workforce is made up of women. That sounds pretty good, but there is some bad news coming. Because those numbers get smaller in the middle management positions, where lack of satisfaction and opportunities and sense of purpose and impact combined with unmanageable work-life balance and unsupportive working environments drive women to other sectors. And that is the sad truth. And we know it. And we know it statistically and empirically, and we can put hard numbers on how that happens. And the difference when you change those and how you increase retention. And I'll talk a lot more about that in a second. At the US Department of Energy, we are committed to addressing the climate challenge through equity-centered solutions, not only on the implementation side, but also on the programmatic side, the money we send out the door for programs out there in the United States and in the world. The Biden administration has executive orders that implement this, and our Office of Energy Justice and Equity, led by Shalonda Baker, who will be here later in the week, is developing and executing policies to strengthen diversity and inclusion goals across equal employment opportunities and small and disadvantaged businesses in particular, minority educational institutions, and historically underrepresented communities. And this is not just words on a page. We require this now. You must demonstrate to us in order to get one of the massive grants that we have now through the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, which put $98 billion directly into the Department of Energy for demonstration projects and all the great things to do. You must demonstrate this community dividend in those terms. In my office, we work to ensure that our teams have flexible work opportunities, resources to increase their training and skill set, diverse hiring panels, which is critical, and are continually working to improve, frankly, our diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility actions, and we screen that and test ourselves on it every single day. Attracting and retaining, and again, I'm going to come back to retention, more women into the energy sector is going to require all governments, all companies, and other institutions to make workforce diversity a priority, because the laggards will drag us down, and we know that. We also know that to build a pipeline of clean energy workers, we need to start with youth, well before they arrive in high school. That is far too late. For decades now, the energy sector, particularly STEM careers, have been seen as male-centric workforce, and that's just simply wrong. Efforts need to be made to shift that perception, and they must be done consciously. For women to succeed in STEM, they need to see their value in the field from an early age by having role models and mentors they can look up to. And we need to capture their interests at a time when those interests are still developing. Now, many men who give speeches in forums like this then talk about their daughters. So please forgive me, I'm going to talk about my daughter, Marika, who's 12 years old. And soon will be 13, and she has diligently been working on many areas, including getting ready for her bat mitzvah in a month, and she's doing terrific, and very proud of that. But since she was 8, she's told me she wanted to go to MIT. I don't know why she wants to go to MIT. I've never said you should go to MIT. But I started thinking about this, and partly it's because she has, her entire life, been around strong women leaders in science. One of the best friends of my family, who some of you may know, is Jane Lubchenco, who was, in the first term of the Obama administration, the administrator of our National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. She's a scientist from Oregon State University. She's now back in the Biden White House as one of the deputies in the Biden's Office of Science and Technology Policy. She's a frequent visitor to our house over many dinners, and she talks openly about science in a way that both of my kids really resonate with. And I think this absolutely has a palpable difference, and I can give many examples. But let's get back to retention. Because if you can get women in that pipeline as one of the choices, that they will see a future for themselves, and they can do, and Marika should do whatever she wants to do, and I will support her in that. But if you can lower that barrier, then how do you retain them? Well, the World Economic Forum's 2023 Global Gender Gap Report found in 2021 that women made up roughly 38% of STEM graduates, yet the number of women entering STEM careers 1 year after graduation drops to 7%. And that's startling, because they've already made such an investment, right, in being able to get into that career pipeline, but then it goes away. Once women begin to climb up their career ladders, there's a noticeable departure of women choosing to stay in those careers, especially in manager or director positions. So making careers in clean energy accessible to all requires addressing bias in hiring practices, wage gaps, and organizational barriers like flexible work and paid leave. So we're a member of the Department of Energy, proud member of Equal by 30 campaign, which is part of the Clean Energy Ministerial's Equity, Equality and Energy Transition Initiative, which was one of the first initiatives ever created by the Clean Energy Ministerial when it was started by a former Secretary of Energy, Stephen Chu, in 2010. And it has persisted and is still vibrant. The campaign recently released a self-assessment tool that helps organizations across public and private sectors assess inclusion and diversity, and I encourage everyone to look at it and send us back your feedback if you think that we're missing something on that. The last program I want to mention, and this is on behalf of, I have 5 deputies in my office. What's called the principal deputy is a political appointee. The others are civil servants, but like me, appointed directly by President Biden, my principal deputy, Assistant Secretary for International Affairs at the Department of Energy, Julie Cicada, who will be here on Friday, and you must meet her if you've never met her. She's an absolute dynamo. She directs the ambassadors program, right, as part of SEM, to work to address the gap in the energy sector by focusing on attracting, retaining, inspiring a diverse future workforce. 23 ambassadors from over 8 countries participate in the program that represent both women and men leaders in the clean energy field and champions of gender equality. And that ambassador program aims to highlight their achievements and showcase meaningful role models for youth and entry-level women interested in energy and give them an experience so they will feel compelled to stay in those positions. And that's critical. So every organization here, if you're not connected to the ambassadors program and you want to be, we want to have you. We want to be partners with you. Now let me close here. I want to talk about my boss. who sends her best, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, the 9th Secretary of Energy in the United States since the department was founded by President Carter in 1977. Jennifer Granholm, who's an electric figure in many ways, formerly was governor of Michigan for 2 terms. She was governor of Michigan in 2008 when the global economy began to collapse, and along with it, while you hear about the big bailouts that we did in the United States of banks, our auto industry was on the brink of absolute collapse. Michigan is the home of the American auto industry. Jennifer Granholm led the negotiations to save the US auto industry and in exchange get them to begin the conversion to production of electric vehicles. So no one can tell me that it doesn't matter when a strong woman with purpose, with knowledge, and empowered to make change is in a position to do so. And so on behalf of Secretary Granholm, I thank you all for your work. Please keep it up and know that you have a very strong partner in the United States government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrew Light. This is really amazing, and I think for the next phase of Women Energize Women, we should definitely link up with your ambassadors program and all what you're doing. Thank you so much. We can't finish the welcoming word without a very prominent German figure in energy. We don't have so many. So I'm very, very happy to introduce to you now Dr. Simone Peter. She's the president of the German Renewable Energy Federation. So thank you very much. Simone is also a mother with her team, Serafina, Maria, and so on, of the Women Energize Women campaign. Please, come here.
Thank you very much, Ellen. It's so great to have the second time today with Women Energized Women and to meet so many women and men to talk about how women networking and bringing the process of equality to society and to a climate conference. So we meet a lot in conferences, and that's so important because we meet scientists, people from companies, politicians, and have the opportunity to talk. And it's so wonderful that just you 2 men, Stefan and Andrew, brought the things here on the table. One thing is that you introduced Women Energized Women already, so I don't have to do this. Thank you very much, Stefan. And thank you very much, Andrew, about this firework of or what is the lack in equality of women, and what can we do with programs. So just a few words from me before we start in the panel dialogue. So it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Women Energize Women Allies event, fast-tracking the energy transition by tripling the deployment of renewable power generation and doubling energy efficiency. This is a pledge of more than 120 countries here in Dubai, and it is important momentum to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions and still reach 1.5 degrees by 2030. We all know that we need more than tripling the renewable energy is needed, and it is possible. And thank you very much for the example, Stefan. We have the goal in Germany, 80% until 2030, and Kenya already has around 100 or even more, and we can do so. We have the technologies, and we have the cheap technologies to do so. So it's possible, and it's democratically and resiliently in the hands of the citizens, based on 100% renewables, but we have signed up to this pledge as a renewable energy association because it's an important first step. It's an important first step to have a pledge for renewables in this text, in this message of the COP. But what I already said, we need more. Tripling the globally installed renewable energy capacity by 2030, that means every year an average of 1,000 gigawatts of renewable energy power would have to be added worldwide. And we know that we can do so, and we need more. But we have a good message. According to the International Energy Agency, solar capacity would need to increase 5-fold, and wind capacity would need to increase 3-fold. The good news is that renewable energy has seen unprecedented growth over the last 5 years around the world. The world just doubled installed PV capacity in mere 18 months. And we already have installed worldwide around 413 gigawatt of PV, and that is more than nuclear capacity was installed in the last decades. So we can see what renewables are able to do, and we have PV and wind as very cheap sources now. And this was driven by technological advancements and declining costs. I already said solar and wind power are the cheapest sources of electricity in history, and they have democratized the energy system. The expansion of domestic renewable energies, of the decentralization of the energy system, especially affordable wind and solar power, but also sustainable and flexible bioenergy, geothermal, storage, and sector coupling, like green and please only green hydrogen. This guarantees a permanently affordable energy supply, less expensive fossil imports, and thus resilience and compliance with the Paris climate goals. The private sector, in the context of energy transformation, probably even more than in other sectors, comprises of every different actors, small and medium enterprises, community-led projects, as well as individual citizens, have been accelerating renewable energy deployment, which was triggered by enabling legislation such as the feed-in tariffs in Germany, but also like programs like the IRA in the US. We watch this with much of tension, because also Europe wants to produce climate technology, and I think we can learn a lot what you did in the US in the last months. And now we are in more and more countries on the brink of renewables becoming the dominant and system-defining technologies in the electricity sector, and this will soon be followed in other end users such as heating, cooling, transport, and even hard-to-abate sectors. Smart investors focus more and more on renewables and smart energy efficiency technologies, and so-called bridges, cleaning fossil fuels or high-risk nuclear power, which is not a renewable energy source, only serve to delay the necessary investment in growth of renewables, and thus delay the necessary greenhouse gas reductions to keep us on the 1.5 degrees track. If we want to further accelerate the energy transition, a bold and future-oriented approach is needed in all countries with binding targets. The pledge is good, but we need binding targets to develop 100% renewable energy in the next 2 decades, without new oil and gas drilling and without new trillions in fossil and nuclear subsidies. And for this to succeed, the policy must also be based on real gender equality and gender justice at home and abroad. Women are key for energy transition and climate protection, and gender equality is key for energy transition and climate protection. And we know from studies, this was mentioned before, that gender diversity, or Stefan told this, gender diversity drives innovation, opens up pathways for technology deployment, brings fresh perspectives to development of societies, and attracts and retains a richer pool of talents. And we know that diverse societies are more successful, also economically successful. Women and renewable energies can and must play a central role for the preservation of our great planet. I hope we get some more impressions, direct policies and ideas in the panel discussion. I thank you very much, and thank you very much all the organizers to make this possible today and in the next months and years. Thank you very much.
Thank Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Simone. Now we would like to invite the panel, and I have to say we are talking about women energize women and allies, and I want to introduce a very important ally, which is Dr. Falk Böhmeke. He's also head of our German-US Energy and Climate Partnership team, but he's always protecting also women energize women. When we have budget discussions, and we have some colleagues who sometimes think, oh, is this really necessary? Falk was always there protecting it. And so thank you very much, Falk. You're a very important ally, and thank you for taking over now the moderation for the panel. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alan, and welcome also from my side. I would like to introduce to you a fantastic panel. We will have until 8 o'clock to discuss technologies and women energize women and how this goes together. And obviously also already the title of today's panel shows you all in for 1.5 degrees. Means we need all renewable technologies that are available. We need all brains, we need all people, and obviously that includes men and women. So let me introduce the esteemed speakers and also welcome them on stage. First, Dr. Rashi Gupta, founder and managing director of Vision Mechatronic Private from India. Actually, we're going to miss one person, so maybe you take the second seat, please. Winnie Huynh, founder and CEO, Green Solutions Group and Women in Green Hydrogen from Vietnam. Then we have Lucrezia Löscher, COO of ThyssenKrupp Uhde from Germany. And Catherine Irura, Managing Director of Sovitech Kenya Limited and Women in Green Hydrogen. Techi Kapelan had to cancel on last minute due to an emergency, so we have a great panel here that I am honored to moderate. And this panel is a little bit different than panels you might have seen before. Usually you have only males there, and then the organizers say, oh, we need a female, let's take a female moderator. So we're going to turn this around. We have great panelists, and we have a male moderator. You need to cope with that one, but I hope that works out. So let's dive directly into discussion. What do we need to do to reach 1.5 degrees? What do we need to do to triple renewable energies, to double efficiency, to get out of fossil fuels, and to keep our planet a planet that is worth living on? We need deployable, competitive, reliable technologies, and I think you all represent very well these technologies, and I would like to hear more from you, what your assessment is. I would like to start with Dr. Rashi Gupta, please. As a female leader in renewable energy and energy storage in India, how would you describe the energy situation and the state of technology development in your country? And do you think this is possible in tripling renewables? It sounds very challenging. What is your assessment?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And I should thank Serafina, Ellen, Dr. Simon Peter, Stefan, and Maria for this beautiful organizing things at COP. Now, when I come to India, in terms of renewable energy, in terms of storage, we're doing very well. But we need to excel still further. We need to reduce our dependence on coal, which will be phased out still slowly. That is what I'm saying right now, because it's not easy for us to phase out that. But we will try our best to do it. Number two, with respect to technologies, yes, we are working very seriously on that. We have two very important schemes by the government which say for advanced energy storage production in India and solar panel manufacturing in India. And not just the panel assembly, right from the solar cell, from the silicon to the final module, okay? So that is something that we're very strongly focusing on. A lot of money has been set aside for this. Another important thing is that what we need to now understand is that we cannot run with one technology. I love the statement that you made, all in for 1.5. Now, what does all in mean? Just technology? Just storage? Or just men and women equity? It's beyond that. Is it only about electricity when we talk of 1.5? It's much, much beyond that. It's about the energy. When we say all in, it means all in by 100%, all of our energies together. Each one of us on this planet, whether you're a man, woman, a child, an elderly, a retired person, or a military person, whoever you are on the planet, you have to give your 100% to reach the all-in 1.5 degrees, which is a climate emergency that every one of us is facing today. It's not you or me alone. We are still privileged to be here at COP, discussing these things. There are so many out there. At COP, I think the figures given were just 1 lakh people, which is like 0.1 million. The world is much huge, right? We have the responsibility to work for them. That is all in. And then India is going very bullish on the EV sector, on energy sector, on renewables. And we have almost 45% of our energy coming from renewables now. But we need to go more on storage. And what we need to do next is, like even in my company, we launched a new storage technology just now on graphene in October, because we want to take it to the next level to have better storage so that we do not waste any component of energy. That's important. We do not waste the human energy that we have. We do not waste the electricity that we have. We do not waste the food that is an energy. We do not waste water that is an energy. It is very, very important that as you develop new technologies, you do not waste what you have as a resource, as an energy today.
Thank you very much, Rashi. Well-deserved applause. Building up value chains, having innovations, and using every resource we have. Let me turn to you, if I may. You have worked in several industries in renewable energy and recently in hydrogen, and you have made numerous collaborations also with the financing institutions. So let me bluntly ask you, how do we get these investments? How do we get the financiers on board to finance the immense projects that are in front of us?
Thank you for your questions. And firstly, thanks for GSS to give me the chance to be here with all the wonderful women here, and would like to share some idea. You know that I'm operating the first green hydrogen project in Vietnam, and we apply the German technology room thinking group, which our partner is sitting next to me. So you know that green hydrogen is one of the few actions to come to the anti-climate change, and what we mentioned here in the COP28 is on in for 1.5 century. So to put the ambition to the actions is a big gaps, and we see that opportunity here and also too much challenge, and how we can get the renewable energy green, and how we can get the projects become possible, and how we can get the finance. So you know that I would like to come to the very, very actual process and how challenge and difficulties that I have been handling, where the standard of green hydrogen or the policy not yet in Vietnam or in other countries. So we renewable energy here is the power input our project, and it's green. And in order to make it green, we have to get the 100% renewable, the wind farm and solar farm connecting directly to our project without connect to the grid. So like this, we don't have to certify for the green direct with the off-taker, and how we can get the very reasonable price, reasonable cost for our off-taker, and then financing just come.
Okay.
So, you know, this is the solution, smart solution here. Also solutions is how we can cut down the electricity cost, the power cost. So how we can have a stable power production, and how we can manage with the transportation. We have to apply for new technology and new innovation. Like we have to apply to let wind turbine. We have a smart grid here. We have a jet-less technology that's one of the upgrade MSRU for the transport the green ammonia. That's the only thing. So when we cut down the cost together with technology, somehow we have to cut down also the cost. So we only have two reasons to get financing for our project. Is the one we have to get the power cost low down, or we have to get the technology to reduce the power consumption during production of green hydrogen. That's the only thing. And we have been dealing with many international banks in HSB. HSB is support like Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Standard Chartered, and all the thing is just we get the possible off-taker agreement, and then the finance is ready. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much for this. Obviously, yes, we need technology, we need innovation to bring down costs. The good news is there are already technologies available that are very competitive. So, if I understand you correctly, go the easy way. Go the way that is already there, and then innovation will give us even more possibilities. Lucrezia, you have an intensive background in energy and renewable energy, and you have recently become the new COO of ThyssenKrupp Uhde, where hydrogen plays an important role. Green hydrogen has an immense potential. I don't like the word potential, because potential is everywhere, but we need to use it. So how do we accelerate and scale up green hydrogen production, and how do we make it competitive compared to the fossil alternatives?
Yeah, very good point. And I would like to say first, we have always the discussion, are the industrial companies ready? Is the energy sector ready? Yes, we are ready. We have the technologies, and they will get better, but we have the technologies now. And Stefan Menzel mentioned efficiency. Hydrogen is an energy carrier. So the first thing that has to happen is we need to have more installed fleet on the renewable side. Renewables, so the crisis is a global problem. The renewables will be a global solution, because as we all know, if we look on the map, some geographies have some better price for electricity. Vinny mentioned that just now, that the cost for electricity is extremely important, and we are currently sitting in a region that will have access to very competitive prices for renewables. Australia has competitive prices, Brazil for hydrogen, Scandinavia in some areas. So there are geographies that provide now low cost for electricity. And of course, in these geographies, putting it into the grid is a super good solution. But hydrogen is going to help us because it's an energy carrier. It can store the electricity to use it at the same geography, or to convert it further into something that allows us to be efficient enough to transport it to the areas where heavy industry is located. Germany, for example. Germany will not be able to have enough renewable energy installed, and we should, of course, do as much as possible to have renewables in Germany, but it will not be enough. So we will have to import it, And in order to make this in an efficient way, we need to convert hydrogen further to methanol and ammonia. ThyssenKrupp Uhde is providing exactly those solutions since more than 100 years. We did it initially fossil, now we do it for green ammonia, green methanol. We also provide sustainable aviation fuels, which is going to be very important for the transport and will help us to make flights that we probably, most of us used to come here, much more, convenient and greener, cleaner, let's say cleaner. So the competitiveness for green solution comes from the low energy costs, and of course, that's there already. We just need to use these geographies more and more.
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, efficiency and technology, you said it's there. We need to scale it up, roll it out, and then we have a great possibility to transport the sun and the wind all over the world. Looking forward to that world. Catherine, let me turn to you. You have several positions. First of all, you are managing Sovitech Kenya, which is, as I understand, focusing on delivering solar and wind projects, huge solar and wind projects, I should say, in Kenya, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And you are also developing green hydrogen projects, and you are secretary of the Electricity Sector Association in Kenya. Does your day have more than 24 hours? Anyway,
yes.
That would be my first question. Okay, the real question is, what would you say, what policy frameworks do we need to unlock investments, private, public investments, mainly private investments for different technologies? What is your experience?
Okay, from my experience, I would say that renewable energy auctions are key because they create a framework for investors that's predictable. They know that due to demand focus, there'll be capacities for wind, solar to be onboarded in the grid, even geothermal. So this indicates to them that there'll be capacity and they can develop projects that are bankable and take them to auction. So that's one of the key factors we look at for projects, and also access to finance. Access to finance, especially at project development stages, is critical in these markets in Africa, particularly because of the long duration it stays to develop these projects. Like on average in Kenya, and this is one of the things we need to work on, is to streamline permitting of projects. It could take almost 7 years to develop a wind project up to when it's ready to build and reach in FID. So these are some of the things we need to work on as a continent, and also look at how we can improve regional interconnections. This will enable us to increase our installed capacity for wind, solar, and be able to have bilateral trading agreements with our neighbors. Because if we have all this untapped capacity, if you look at geothermal, for example, in Africa, it's 11 gigawatt. Solar is 1,000 gigawatt. Where will this electricity be traded, and for what? So when you look at the issues that we've seen with the South African power pool, where there've been load shedding, there's been numerous load shedding, and all that could be required, for example, would be to link East Africa and South Africa. That infrastructure investment comes in strongly to enable regional trade in electricity. And also for us, we look like ThyssenKrupp Uhde at these green products as gold for us, because it enables us to reduce our dependence on imports and create these industries in the continent. Soitec, for example, is working on a 8,000 ton per annum methanol plant in Kenya, which uses geothermal electricity and CO2 from geothermal together with green hydrogen and this looks at the domestic market, for example, but the other projects that look at export markets. So these derivatives and trading them in the continent, when you look at ammonia and fertilizer, are where we see we can create value and sustainable value chains in the continent.
Well, thank you very much. Here you can actually see at work what women energize women means. Although I must say, women also need to energize men sometimes a little bit more, and maybe sometimes men energize women. So we need all in, as we said. So we have heard all in about technologies, innovation, financing, and I think we covered that part quite a lot. If you have any other comments on that topic, please feel free. Otherwise, I would turn to a second round, and that is more focusing on the gender aspect. We have said it many times. I'm going to switch the order a little bit. Lucretia, if I may, I would start with you. You told me yesterday that you're the only female board member, if I remember correctly. So, from your experience, what initiatives, what strategies do you have to implement to encourage women's participation? And do you see any change that now you as a woman are in the board already in your own company?
I see I need to be careful what I tell you, right?
We are among us. Huh?
No. It's true. And it's even worse because my direct reports and their direct reports are all men as well. So if you go into the hierarchies, you see that you need to dig deep in order to find the first leading woman. What's the root cause? Or let me say, it starts with us, right? And Andrew Light mentioned that very nicely earlier. We need role models. We need to be strong and to be also energized and show that it is actually worth to basically maneuver yourself through the different hierarchy levels, because being in the C-suite has the chance to make decisions and to then actually also drive change, and to also drive change in terms of abilities or chances for other women to step up and to get a chance. Because also I think Andrew was really hitting the point several times in his welcoming speech. You know, you hire mini-me's, right? And if there are men that hire, that there is a higher chance that there is another man that gets selected. So we need to make sure that we have more, panels that are diverse already, or that we enforce that in the selection process there is a process that is fair and takes the best person at the end. So we need to have more role models, we need to have fair processes, and of course we need to also use the quotas, right? I used to say, I don't need a quota, I'm good enough, but we need quotas because until we have enough women in the process, it's just damn hard to get enough women into the right positions. So those quotas should not be considered as unfair against men, they are just there to ensure that we have equality.
And I think history tells us that we do need quotas to reach that equality, and then we can get rid of it. But until we have not reached it, I think every measure is welcome to do so. Catherine, let me turn to you again. The success of large-scale energy projects, and we know that in Germany, and we see it all over the world, also relies on the community support, on the local support. So how can we ensure that communities, and especially women in these communities, are not only informed about the project, but really see the benefits of renewable energy?
In my experience as a developer, you really need to build trust with these communities. You need to enter the community and basically learn about their lives, their priorities, map out their strategic assets. Like in some of the wind projects I've been developing, you realize there's some special plants that have medicinal value, and when you're trying to find a place to put a wind measurement station, sometimes you have to pick different positions to avoid affecting their strategic community assets. So you have to have concerted engagement with them to make sure that you know what they value, and they see value with your project beyond just the turbine payment. So what we do with communities is do really good environmental and social baselines, ask them about what they think about the future development of these areas. And when you're working in these communities, you get to know about the challenges they're facing. Like just this past year, there was a really bad drought in one of the wind project areas that I manage, and you could see all the men had gone away to the border with Tanzania, and the women were left there, and they asked for support for food relief. So you really need to get ingrained into their lives and see what they value. And this is how you build the relationship with them and get the social license, that they can be able to trust that, for example, when you're going to sign agreements with them, it is above board. They have lawyers who are representing them on the other side, and they can understand. And in communities where there are nuances, maybe women are not allowed to have a voice. As a project developer, you need to create space for them in decision-making processes. And we do this, for example, by spousal consent, for example. If someone needs to lease their land, you make sure that their family is involved in the discussions around that, and they're aware of the commercial terms. So there are very many ways you can ingrain gender issues and internalize them. But in my experience, what I would say, you really need to be in their lives as you're developing the project. Not just think about, I want a wind farm here in 6 years, but walk hand in hand with them, realize what their priorities are, and internalize them in your community benefit plans. Because these PPAs run for 10, 20 years, 30 years. So they need to feel that they own the project as well. And as a project developer, you need to make space for them also to own this project.
Can I ask you a quick follow-up question, and I ask you for a short answer. Do you think, as a woman, you have better or easier access to these communities than a man? So I could imagine I would trust you much more than a man in a fine suit coming up and trying to sell me something.
Yes, I would say, of course, the first time you go there, they see you as a woman. Maybe they would call you Madam Catherine. They realize you're a lawyer, or you have this background, but you get to build a relationship with them, even though, like in some of these communities, they're very patriarchal. Basically men make all the decisions in relation to how land is used and decisions around the land. But in the process of project development, you sit with the women in the kitchen, because you'll have a meal with them after you have a community meeting, and you get to hear what is happening behind the scenes. Like, why is this family not signing on? Why don't they want to proceed with the succession process in court? That's where you really get the juice. So you kind of integrate in the community. They start respecting you as a professional beyond your gender. And I've seen with time, it's taken maybe 3 years, that they come to respect you as a professional and as a person, and see that there's a lot you can offer beyond just who you are. And it kind of debunks also the myths they have about women. For example, like I mean, generally men don't ask women for money, but sometimes the chiefs say, hey, you know what? We have a drought here and we need water. Can you help us in any way? It will cost maybe 100 USD. And they're comfortable approaching me. So I feel like we've broken the ice there a bit with these gender stereotypes in this community. I have many stories, obviously, but I'll stop there.
That's good to hear, and we would love to hear more stories when later we have the little reception. I hope you're staying for that. But it also shows we need all capabilities, and I think that's a good demonstration. Winnie, you are part of the Women in Green Hydrogen Network. Can you tell us a little bit more about that network and how it works and how it promotes women in leadership roles?
You know that hydrogen is very new, and normally that in the energy sector, it's men, not women a lot, and now women getting into energy sector more and more, but especially now hydrogen. So hydrogen is now a must for everyone, for every country in the world on the journey to the net zero emission. All the nation make a commitment. So women, I think, with patience, we had the same passion, we have the same responsibility, and we had the same commitment with the men on the industry, business industry, especially in the renewable energy and hydrogen right now. I believe this. And I'm in the Women in Hydrogen, so this is one of the green signal, the good signal that for later on, all the country will also have a woman in hydrogen. And it means that to spread that our commitment and our responsibility, the woman is also there into the society. And we also to spread that is our contribution to the environment. And you know that when we join there, a lot of good things come up. The useful information, we can exchange about technology, we can learn together, we enlarge for the business connection. Yeah, and there I can see that like hydrogens, we come from the, like especially green hydrogen now, we come from the water, come from the wind, come from the solar. So all the three is from the nature. This is the endless raw material. And we find out that I myself find out from the organization that just technology and cost making. And if we, the women there, can sort it out the cost, how food can reduce, and we will have an endless green hydrogen source for the new fuel for human beings. It's one of the things that we learned from the green hydrogen woman.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. That sounds like a very interesting work and all the success for that. Rashi, let me turn to you, if I may. You're since recently in the Council of Engineers for the Energy Transition, and I have to read that because it's so complicated. It's an independent advisory council to the United Nations Secretary General. Not so complicated after all. Achieving the 1.5 degrees goal, which is the goal of the UN, and gender equality in renewable energy requires global cooperation. And I would imagine in this position, in this council, you have made some experiences. So what are your recommendations? What are your lessons learned from that position that you can share with us?
Again, to go all in for 1.5 degrees, you said a nice word, cooperation. Let's go one step ahead, collaboration. Only cooperation is not going to solve our purpose. We need collaboration. And what does collaboration mean? Coming, shaking hand, hi, hello, having a nice time and going back? No. actions, right? I see her saying actions and similar something like that. So yes, actions. Now, but what are these actions is the question. Signing agreements, raising capital, just that much? No. The actions have to be on the ground, for the people, by the people. I have this wonderful lady with me here, and she's doing a lot of work in Kenya on the ground. So what we now need is hybridization and collaboration together. Now, what does that mean? What do I mean by hybridization? I mean multiple technologies together. Please stop competing. It's again a bold statement, which I'm going to be bashed outside for because I'm saying stop competitions. We do not have time anymore to struggle with each other. We are on the verge of climate emergency. It's the tipping point now. We just have few years left. And if we don't do anything now, the mankind, the human race will be extinct. So collaborate. The countries, the technologies, the people, the genders, all in for 1.5 degrees. We need collaboration now, not just cooperation. We need hybridization. We need battery storage, we need hydrogen, we need solar, we need wind, we need hydro, we need biogas, we need fuels, we need everything, all in for 1.5 degrees. We need every one of us, every technology to come in. The question is the right energy mix. Now that would change based on the region you are, on the availability of the resources, on the skills that people have in that area. Sorry? Accessibility, yes. Accessibility. And the amount of energy that is available in that region. Now, energy, I need everything in that, not just the electricity. So once you assess that regionally, you can see what hybrid mix you need for your particular region and improve your skill sets. The new energies that we are looking at today, we need a new skill set. We cannot work with the traditional skill sets that we've been doing for the last few decades. It's time to rejuvenate everything. Why? All in for 1.5 degrees. So that's the key, which we all need to do. We all need to work towards it. And if any one of us is left behind, hold the hand, get him in. That's what we need to do. Hold each other's hand, collaborate, get in there. Because if we do not have the right mix, we are never going to achieve it. And it would be too late. Why are we all here talking about the climate emergencies and changes? Because we want to give the next generation something to survive on. We do not want ourselves to be extinct. And if that is the motto everyone has, so all in for 1.5 degrees, collaborate. Do not compete anymore. Do not negotiate anymore. Adapt to each other. Go ahead. You will all win. We will all win together this crisis that we are in today.
Thank you very much. Never waste a good crisis. Use it as an opportunity. I would like to open up the floor to all of you. We have a roving mic, so there is a question over there. Please state your name and then please a short question so we will have the chance to answer it.
No worries. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ludi Sebastião, and just 2 days ago, I was actually on the other side in the German Pavilion advocating and talking about a woman in the energy industry and what are the efforts that Gas is doing for equity and inclusivity in the sector. But you guys spoke about competitiveness in the electricity sector. So how do you promote renewable energy in a country with a non-competitive electricity prices, which is the case of Angola? 80% of our electricity is produced by hydropower, but most investors look at our prices and say, producing renewable energy here through other sources like solar and wind is charity work. So how do you promote the investment in new energy in a country like this that is non-competitive? So yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
That's a very good question. I would, and anybody who wants to answer, but there was a second question, and maybe we're going to collect that too, and then Serafina is running. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Here you go. Wow.
Thank you so much. My name is Chinedu. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm a researcher. And my question is about green hydrogen. There is a perception in policy circles, the academia in our part of the world, about green hydrogen being something being promoted specifically for exports to the more developed countries. And people have a cold shoulder, seeing it as something like we've seen in the past, grow crops for exports when people locally are hungry. Is that perception correct?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, we take a third question, and then we're going to close, and then I would like to ask you to answer, please.
Engineer Muhammad Haggag. I am chairman of Egypt, the Dream Foundation for Development and Innovation. The idea of our organization is that we give studies and ideas for a mega project to our country. My delegation here is about 29 persons. We have the solution. We don't give questions. We have efficiency, and we have gas, greenhouse effect gas reduction. First, who's the flammable? Is it actually fossil fuel or the tool we use to extract power from fossil fuel? To understand this, the current state for central power generating system, when you burn 100 units of fossil fuel, you have efficiency of 30%, and then you lose 2/3, and the end user have from 10 to 5% of electricity. Actually, if we concentrate on stopping central power station and we go to distributed generation using combined heat and power, which also suitable for heavy industry like iron factories, because most of the renewable energy is not suitable for heavy industry or heavy urban usage. This technology gives you about 33% of electricity on each building and 47% of air conditioning and hot water. Okay, so in this case, we will reduce, we have two cases of study. First case using maybe natural gas. You will have your money back in 3.5 years. We have a system for all sustainable urban system.
Okay.
Please
ask your question.
I'm not asking, I'm giving you a solution.
You're giving a solution, okay.
Okay, this is a solution. Just a few seconds. The second case, if we collect human waste and food waste centrally and transform it into liquid fertilizer and biogas, you will have your money back in 2.5 years. If I'm going to sell you an apartment with $100,000 and another one with 100,000 and you will have your money back, which have its electricity and air conditioning and hot water. You will have it.
Thank you, sir. We have understood. But it's a very good question because it's two technologies, and I would like to ask the panel.
No, this is not the last thing, please. For greenhouse effect layer in the outer space, why shouldn't we take it out and suck it and throw it in the outer space? Also, we have this technology, and we are reversing the clock. We are not going for 1.5 zeros. We are reversing Earth back to its normal condition. And we have the technology and the idea about how to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we need all technologies, we said, but maybe you have an assessment on some of the comments that were just made. I would like to close and then ask you to your ideas to these 3 questions. Anybody want to start?
Yes,
Catherine, thank you.
In terms of the situation in Angola, I think you need to stimulate demand for this electricity. And what we've done in Kenya, for example, is to come up with this special economic zones framework where we offer attractive electricity tariffs to people who want to set up data centers. This really high-intensive electricity uses for the country. So if you have a lot of exports or you rely on a lot of imports in the country, it creates now investment opportunities that utilize more electricity. And you could also leverage on this green hydrogen economy as well to use that electricity to produce green hydrogen derivatives. On the technology use, I think there is room for hybridization, wind and solar, wind and hydrogen fuel cell, for example. Methanol, as she'll talk about, is also a very versatile fuel, and Kenya has been looking to transition from diesel-powered generation to more cleaner fuels. So we'll see more of these derivatives like green ammonia, green methanol being used as base load, even hydrogen itself being used as base load, as was explained, and I'll maybe let her chip into more of that, yeah.
Please.
I would like to actually address your question because I got this question already a few times. So it's a very good question. I would like to give you 2 perspectives to this. The first one is it would be great if in all countries, especially also in the African countries, that you don't need to make the same, don't need to go through the same process that we went through, that you first go into the fossil world and then afterwards decarbonize. So ideally, you use these technologies immediately to help stopping the climate change. Of course, under fair conditions, you need to be supported with that in order to directly get access to green energy sources for the different countries. And of course, in some cases it will be solar, in some cases it will be wind. And hydrogen will simply help you to also have electricity at night, because that's your storage capacity. Instead of using batteries, you can use hydrogen and then fit it into the grid again. Yeah? So the battery versus hydrogen discussion is basically a raw material discussion that we don't need to take here, right? And then if that is already available in your respective country, then the other perspective is you can make this a nice business case. You know, I think I'm in a German African leaders program where we try to figure out what kind of business cases we could actually generate in order to have closer collaboration. And one way to do this is to have trade. You can sell green energy to Europe. And under fair conditions, as the UAE also does it. And the way how you can do it is by converting the electricity, the green electricity that you have better access to than we have, into hydrogen, methanol, and ammonia, and then ship it to Europe. So if you use both, then I think also the society will support this.
Thank you. Any more comments? I have to ask you to be quick because we need to stop on time, I was told.
Yeah,
so.
I just because I'm the one who do the actual process in Vietnam in such a situation. So, you know, like starting the green hydrogen is very challenging. So we have a one process to make it happen. We have a finished product. Like first we have a processing, the power input, the electrolyzer, manufacturing plant. We have a storage tank and we have transportation solutions. So one of the challenge is the transportation solution not yet available right now for green hydrogen. And we have to ship the green hydrogen under the green ammonia. And yeah, and this is now the logistics are coming in Europe. We had a port of Rotterdam like the Bunkery hub. And in Southeast Asia, we have Singapore like the Bunkery hub right now. So here, together, I believe that together with the commitment of the country, the government, so we will have a bold chance of have a domestic demand and also the export demand. And here we consider a lot of demand in Europe, Southeast Asia, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. And further is the Canada and USA, Australia, etc. So because we are like your question that the financing. So in order to get the financing, we had to get the offtake agreement side. And yes, so that we had to find out the potential offtaker. Yeah. And in order to get the very, very early stage of the offtaker agreement to confirm on the green one, while everyone still in the blue one, very challenged. And also depend in our technology provider. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the panel. I think we have seen women who can energize us with words and motivation here tonight. But even better, they also energize the world with their companies and their daily work. So thank you very much for this, and thank you for the panel. And we have a reception awaiting for us yes, obviously we make a photo, otherwise this didn't happen. But afterwards, we're going to have a reception, and then we can also talk to our panelists and among each other for the solutions. All in.
Welcome to the German Climate Pavilion at COP28 in Dubai. Ambitious, just together.